Now coming to next topic, microwave measurements, right? Last topic under your syllabus, that is microwave measurements, right? Now coming to this topic, now we have at low frequencies, microwave is nothing but your high frequencies. Now at low frequencies we can measure the voltage and current. Now using that V and I we can calculate power at your low frequencies, right? Now coming to microwave, nothing but your high frequencies, directly we will measure the power using your power meter, right? As I said as I said about microwave test bench, right? Under the test bench directly we will connect power meter through which we can directly measure the power, right? Now that is the difference between low frequency measurement and microwave measurement, right? One difference between low frequency and high frequency measurement. Now coming to this another difference, right? Now at low frequency measurements, whatever the quantities that we measure, see whatever the quantities that we measure we will get exact values, right? And at your low frequency measurement. Now coming to at your high frequency measurement, coming to your high frequency measurement we don't get exact values but relative values will get, right? But relative values will get, that is the one more difference between your low frequency measurement and another one is high frequency measurement, nothing but your microwave measurement, right? Now coming to another difference, now we at low frequency we will measure voltage and current. Now using that V and I we can calculate power, right? Now at low frequency whatever the circuits that we use for the measurement are lumped circuits, right? And which can be identified and measured. But whereas under your high frequencies the circuit elements used are distributed, right? The circuit elements used are distributed and not important to identify them, right? Now these are the difference between your low frequency measurement and high frequency measurement. Coming to first one, right? First difference between your low frequency. Now at low frequency what we will measure voltage and current, right? We will measure voltage and current. Now using this voltage and current we can calculate power, right? At low frequency we can measure voltage and current. Now using that voltage and current we can calculate power. But whereas at your high frequency, now directly using power meter, right? Directly using power meter we can calculate power, right? Directly, the way we have seen microwave test bench, under the test bench directly we can connect power meter through which we can measure power, right? Now that is the main difference. At low frequency we will calculate voltage and current. Now using that V and I we can calculate power. But whereas at your high frequency, nothing but microwave frequency, directly we can connect power meter through which we can measure power, right? That is the main difference between your low frequency measurement and high frequency measurement. Now coming to another difference, now at low frequency exact values you will get, right? Exact values we can measure, right? Whereas at your high frequency we won't get exact values but absolute or relative values we will get, right? Absolute or relative values they will get. That is one more difference. Now coming to another difference, now at low frequency circuit elements are lumped. Circuit elements are lumped and those can be identified and measured, right? Now whereas at your high frequency, now the circuit elements are distributed, right? No need to identify them, right? These are the main difference between low frequency and high frequency. Directly using power meter we can calculate power at your high frequency, whereas at your low frequency first we will calculate voltage and current. Now using that V and I we will calculate power, right? Now at low frequency we will get exact values, whereas at your high frequency we will get absolute values, right? Now coming to at low frequency, the circuit elements are lumped, easily identified and those can be measured, right? Now at high frequency circuit elements are distributed. Now this is the difference between your low frequency measurement and microwave frequency measurement. Now the parameters, what are the parameters that can be measured at your high frequency? Let us see, right? Now at parameters measured at microwave frequencies, right? At high frequencies, right? What are the parameters that are measured at your microwave frequency? Let us see. first one is frequency. You can measure frequency at your microwave frequency, right? And next is your power, right? Next is your, you can measure the power, and here also you'll have three different types: low power, medium power, and another one is three different types of measurements: low, medium, and high power. And next one is you can measure impedance at your high frequency microwave frequency. And next one is you can measure phase shift of a particular device, right? Phase shift of a particular device can also be measured at your microwave frequencies. And next one is insertion loss. Insertion loss can also be measured at your microwave frequencies. And next one is attenuation, right? See, normal microwave devices exhibits attenuation, that can also be measured. Here also you'll have two different types of methods. One is power ratio method and another one is RF substitution method, right? Now next measurement is your VSWR, voltage standing wave ratio, right? Voltage standing wave ratio. And next you can dielectric constant. Dielectric constant can also be measured at your high frequency. And next one is noise factor, right? Noise factor. All these are the parameters that are measured at your microwave frequencies, right? The frequency, power, and under that you will have three different types: low power, medium power, and high power. Impedance, phase shift, insertion loss, attenuation, VSWR, voltage standing wave ratio, dielectric constant, noise factor. Now all these are the parameters that are measured at your microwave frequency, right? Now first let us see the impedance measurement, right? First let us see the impedance measurement at your microwave frequency. First let us see impedance measurement at microwave frequencies. Now coming to first parameter measurement at your microwave frequencies, that is impedance, right? Now measurement of impedance at microwave frequency, nothing but here using your microwave test bench, right? First parameter that can be measured at your microwave frequency. Now let us see about impedance, right? Now this impedance can be measured in three different types. One is using magic T, nothing but your plane T. One is using your magic T. We have seen magic T, what is its property, we have seen in previous lecture, right? One is using magic T and another one is using slotted line. Slotted line is one of the part of your microwave test bench. Now using that slotted line, how impedance is measured at your microwave frequency is your second method, right? Now third method is using reflectometer, right? The impedance measurement at your microwave frequencies can be measured in three different ways. One is using magic T and another one is using slotted line and another one is using reflectometer, right? Now first see the impedance measurement using magic T, right? First see impedance measurement using magic T, right? Now this is your magic T, port 1, port 2, and this is nothing but your H-arm, port 3, nothing but your H-arm, and this is your port 4, nothing but your E-arm, right? Nothing but your E-arm, right? Now the standard variable known impedance, right? Whatever the known impedance is there, now Z1 is known to the user. That particular variable known impedance is connected at port 1, right? And unknown impedance is connected to port 2. And microwave source, in order to generate a signal, now that is connected at port 3, and at port 4 null detector, right? In order to match this bridge, we will connect the null detector at your port 4, right? Now this is about the connections of this particular devices to your magic T, so that we can measure impedance, right? Now let us see how the impedance is measured using magic T, right? Now Z1, whose impedance is known to the user and that is variable, right? And that is connected at port 1, and unknown impedance, that is denoted by Z2, that is connected at port 2. Now this is port 2, and port 3 is nothing but your H-arm. To this we are connecting microwave signal in order to generate a signal, and null detector in order to match this perfect matching of this bridge, and the null detector is connected at port 4, right? Now using this structure, now let us define the unknown impedance of this particular Z2, right? Now let us using this structure, Now let us define the value of Z2, right? Now the microwave, before that, now what is the we have derived scattering matrix in previous lecture while saying about magic T, right? Now what is the scattering matrix of magic T? You will get 0 0 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 minus 1 by root 2 and 0 0 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 minus 1 by root 2 0 0. This is the scattering matrix we have derived for the magic T in previous lecture, right? And this can be represented in B equals to SA, right? Now what is B? Reflected power, and S is your scattering matrix and A is your input power, right? Now B is your reflected power from all four ports, B1, B2, B3 and B4, and A is the incident or input power for all ports A1, A2, A3 and A4, right? Now let us represent it. B1 is your reflected power from port 1, port 2, port 3 and port 4, right? Now this is equals to scattering matrix of magic T, that is given by 0 0 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 0 0 1 by root 2 minus 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 minus 1 by root 2 0 0 0 0, right, into incident powers at port 1, port 2, port 3 and port 4, right? Now this, now coming to next point. Now what is B1? If I calculate S, multiply with S with A, now B1 is nothing but A3 by root 2 plus A4 by root 2, right? Now similarly B2 is nothing but A3 by root 2 minus A4 by root 2. Now B3 is nothing but A1 by root 2 plus A2 by root 2, right? And B4, that is nothing but A1 by root 2 minus A2 by root 2, right? Now after multiplication of S with A, you will get reflected power at port 1 is this equation, reflected power at port 2 is this equation, and at port 3 this one, and at port 4 this one, right? Now the microwave source, if you refer the figure, now the microwave source that is connected to port 3, right? Microwave source that is connected to port 3, microwave source that is connected to port 3, right? Now what is input power at port 3? Input power at port 3, now that is nothing but your A3. Input power at port 3, that is nothing but your A3, right? Now if I give input power from port 3, now where you will get output? HM. Port 3 is nothing but your HM, right? If I give input power from port 3, now output you will get at port 1 and port 2, right? Output you will get at port 1 and port 2, right? Microwave source is connected to port 3 only, right? That's why A3 equals to A and A1, or else A3 equals to, consider A3. Now A1 equals to 0 and A2 equals to 0 and A4 equals to 0. Now why all these are equals to 0? Because microwave source is connected only at port 3, nothing but your HM. Now that will generate a signal. Now that particular signal has some incident, generate a signal. That incident power is represented by A3, right? Now we don't have any microwave source at port 1, port 2 and port 4. That's why A1 is 0, A2 is 0 and A4 is 0. Now if I substitute these values in these equations, right, now what is B1 you will get? Now B1 is nothing but A3 by root 2, right? And B2 is nothing but A3 by root 2, right? Now what is B3? B3 you will get it as 0 and B4 you will get it as 0, right? That means if I give input power from port 3, output is collected at port 1 and port 2. You won't get any output reflections from port 3 because port 3 is perfectly matched, right? And port 3 and 4 are isolated to each other. That's why you won't get any output power from port 4, right? Now if I give now input is given through port 3, now that I am representing it as A3, right? Now output where you are getting? Here, port 1 and port 2. Now what is the output you are getting? A3 by root 2 here and A3 by root 2 here. Now this is given to your port 1 and port 2, right? Now port 1 has known impedance, variable known impedance, and that is denoted by Z1, right? Now Z1 not equals to Z0, right? If Z1 equals to Z0, you won't get any reflections, right? Now Z1 not equals to Z0, you will get the wave will get reflected, right? Now that reflection I am representing it as rho 1, right? And here also Z2 is not equals to Z0. Here also you will get some reflected wave, that is given as rho 2, right? Now what you will get finally? Now what you will get finally? 1 by root 2 A3 into rho 1, because Z1 not equals to Z0, and here you will get 1 by root 2 A3 into rho 2, right? Now because of the known impedance and unknown impedance not equals to characteristic impedance, you will get some reflections. Now that reflection coefficient is represented as rho 1 for your Z1 and rho 2 for your Z2, right? Now you have power, nothing but the input power at port 1 and port 2 as this one, right? Now if I give input power from port 1 and port 2, right? Now where you will get output, right? Where you will get output? Now if you see this, these impedance are not equals to characteristic impedance. Z1 is not equals to Z0 and Z2 is not equals to Z0, and hence there will be reflections, right? Hence there will be reflections from port 1 and port 2, right? Now this particular port 1 we are representing for rho 1, and this particular port 2 we are representing as rho 2, right? Now as this is your final power at your port 1 and 2 after getting reflected. Now what is the output at port 4, right? What is, if I give input power from port 1 and port 2, right? You have, see at your port 1 you are having, after, because Z1 not equals to Z0, Z1 is not it is not equals to characteristic impedance, you are getting some reflections, that I am representing it as rho 1. This is at your port 1. Now what is at port 2? And this is nothing but 1 by root 2 A3 into rho 2, right? Now this is the reflection, rho 1 is the reflection coefficient of Z1 and rho 2 is the reflection coefficient of Z2. Why you are getting reflection coefficient? Because Z1 not equals to Z0 and here Z2 not equals to Z0, right? Now this is at your port 1 and port 2, right? Now what is the resultant wave at port 4? Now what is the resultant wave at port 4? Resultant wave at port 4, nothing but your EM, right? Nothing but your EM. Resultant wave at your port 4, nothing but your EM, right? Now EM will, the output at port 4 will be subtraction of those input powers from port 1 and port. If you refer the E-plane T property, if I give input power from port 1 and port 2, right, which are equal in magnitude and phase, if you see this, only reflection coefficient will vary, right? Now what is the output power at EM? Subtraction of those two input powers, right? Now that's why if you refer property of E-plane T, if I give input power from port 1 and port 2, output at your EM will be subtraction of those two input powers, right? Now why you are getting subtraction phase shift of 180 degrees? Because of change in the electric field lines, right? Now 1 by root 2 A3 rho 1 minus 1 by root 2 A3 rho 2, this is equals to 0, right? Now from this equation I can take 1 by rho 2 A3 common. 1 by root 2 A3 common. If I take common, rho 1 minus rho 2, this is equals to 0. Now this is nothing but rho 1 equals to rho 2. Reflection coefficient of Z1 because of Z1 not equals to Z0, and reflection coefficient of Z2 because of Z2 not equals to Z0, right? Now you are getting, after the resultant wave at your port 4 you are will be 0, and if you solve this you are getting rho 1 equals to rho 2, right? Now if I substitute the values, right? Now what is rho Z1 minus Z0, reflection coefficient due to Z1, right? Z1 minus Z0 plus Z1 plus divided by Z1 plus Z0. Now this is equals to Z2 minus Z0 divided by Z2 plus Z0. If you solve this, you will get Z1 equals to Z2. If you solve this, you will get Z1 equals to Z2. Now thus the unknown impedance can be measured, right? Now this particular unknown impedance can be measured by varying this particular standard variable known impedance, right? And both impedance and both impedance you will get it as equal, right? Now Z1 equals to Z2 you are getting. This is how to measure the impedance using magic T, right? You have to remember this figure. Microwave source is connected at port 3 and standard variable known impedance is connected at port 1, unknown impedance at port 2 and null detector at port 3. Now I am giving input power from port 3, where you will get output at port 1 and port 2, right? And that is given by A3 by root 2, A3 by root 2 from your scattering matrix of magic T, right? Now the Z1 not equals to Z0, you will get some reflection, and rho 1 is the reflection coefficient of Z1, and this is also not equals to Z0, and rho 2 is the reflection coefficient of Z2, right? Now what is the signal at your port 1? 1 by root 2 A3 rho 1, and here you will get 1 by root 2 A3 rho 2. Now these are the input powers at your port 1 and 2, right? If I give input powers from port 1 and 2, the output is collected at port 4, right? The output is collected at, now these are the input powers at port 1 and 2. Now the resultant wave at port 4, nothing but your EM, is nothing but subtraction of those two input powers, right? Now if I solve that, you are getting rho 1 equals to rho 2. Now Z1, substituting the values, you will get Z1 equals to Z2. Now this indicates the unknown impedance can be measured. Now Z2 is nothing but your unknown impedance and Z1 is nothing but your standard variable known impedance, right? Now by varying this standard variable known impedance, now till this magic T gets balanced indicates the output at your EM should be equals to 0, right? Now using that standard variable known impedance, you can find out the unknown impedance till the magic T gets balanced for the condition of Z1 equals to Z2, right? Now this is how to measure the impedance using magic T, right? Now coming to next one, let us see the measurement of impedance using slotted line, right? Next let us see the measurement of impedance using slotted line, right? Now this is the structure of measurement of impedance using slotted line. Now this is the measurement of impedance using slotted line, right? You will have, this is your test bench, right? This is your test bench, as I have seen under your lab, right? You will have a microwave source, you will generate a signal followed by isolator, and that is connected to slotted line. You will have frequency meter, variable precision meter. Now those are used in some particular measurement, those are not used in some particular measurement, right? Microwave source followed by isolator, now the followed by slotted line. Now slotted line is connected to crystal detector, right? Now all these are under your microwave test bench only. Extra term is your power meter through which you want to measure power, right? And the slotted line is terminated with some load, right? Terminated with some termination, that is under your microwave test bench. Now here we are terminating the slotted line with unknown load, right? Now this unknown load, that is denoted by ZL, right? Now ZL, here also ZL not equals to Z0, load impedance not equals to source impedance, right? Now we have to measure ZL here, right? Now this is the setup 1 and this is the setup 2, right? Using these two setups, we have to measure the unknown impedance of this particular ZL, right? Now this is the setup 1, where you will have microwave source connected to isolator, now connected to slotted line. Now the slotted line connected to the impedance that we want to measure, unknown load, right? Whatever the impedance that we want to measure, that is connected to slotted line, and the slotted line is connected to crystal detector followed by power meter, right? Now coming to setup 2, you will have a microwave source, isolator, slotted line, but this particular unknown load is terminated with short termination. Only the difference between setup 1 and setup 2 is, under setup 1, whatever the low impedance that we want to measure, that is connected to slotted line, and here it is terminated with some short, right? Now this is about setup 1 and setup 2, right? Now what happens when ZL not equals to Z0? Load impedance that we want to measure, that is not equals to characteristic impedance. Now when ZL not equals to Z0, what happens? You will get some reflected waves, right? Nothing but standing waves will occur, right? Now ZL not equals to Z0, here standing waves will form, right? Now the incident and reflected wave will result. See, incident wave is nothing but your input wave, right? And the reflected wave you will get because ZL not equals to Z0, right? And this results in standing wave, right? Now using this slotted line, right, S is nothing but, if you know how we will measure standing wave, S is nothing but Vmax by Vmin, right? S is nothing but Vmax by Vmin, right? Now to find the Vmax and Vmin, you have to use slotted line here, right? To find the Vmax and Vmin, you have to use slotted line, right? And now here under setup 1 you will get a standing wave. Now this is the structure of your setup 1, right? This is the structure of your setup 1, how you are getting, right? Now coming to setup 2, that unknown load is replaced by short termination, right? Here also you will get this short termination, and this is not equals to Z0, right? This short termination is also not equals to Z0, right? Now the wave will get incident and it will get reflected because ZL not equals to Z0, right? And we will get standing waves, right? You will get standing waves, and you have to S is nothing but Vmax by Vmin, right? S is nothing but Vmax by Vmin, and that Vmax and Vminimum is calculated by varying the slotted line. By varying the slotted line, you will get Vmax and Vmin under your VSWR meter, right? Now this is the structure. Either you may get this or you may get this, right? Now if you see this particular value, right, then if this particular value, if it is shifted to the left, right, if it is shifted to the left, then the impedance is inductive, right? If it is shifted to the left, then the impedance is inductive. If it is shifted to the right, then the impedance is capacitive, right? And the known impedance can be obtained by using the recorded data and using Smith chart, right? Now this is about the measurement of impedance using slotted line. Now let me briefly explain again. Now you have to use two setups, right, in order to measure the impedance using slotted line, right? To the whatever the impedance that you want to measure, that is connected at your last, right? Nothing but to your slotted line. Microwave source connected to isolator, connected to slotted line, and slotted line is connected to impedance that we want to measure, right? And the slotted line is connected to crystal detector and power meter, right? Crystal detector and power meter. Here you will have VSWR meter also, where you can measure Vmax and Vmin, right? Now coming to setup 2, everything is same, only the unknown load is replaced by short termination, right? Now coming to setup 1, now what microwave source will do, it will generate a signal, right? It will generate a microwave signal, and that is given to isolator, right? Now what isolator will do, it will allow the signal in forward direction and it will block the signal in reverse direction. That is the property of isolator, right? And this is given to slotted line. Now slotted line contains a rectangular waveguide, right? And to that rectangular waveguide we are making a slot, and that is connected to crystal detector, and that is given to unknown load, right? Now this unknown load is not equals to Z0, right? Now the wave is incident, the wave gets incident, and ZL not equals to Z0, or what happens, wave will get reflected, and this will form standing waves, right? By varying the slotted line, you have to measure Vmax and Vmin, right? Vmax and Vmin, you can measure Vmax and Vmin, and if you can find Vmax and Vmin, you can draw its waveform. Now this is the waveform for your particular setup 1, right? Now coming to setup 1, now microwave source followed by isolator, it will generate a signal, wave is get incident. Now isolator will allow the signal in forward direction, and it will block the signal in reverse direction. Now this is given to slotted line, and this is terminated with some short termination. Now here also this is not equals to Z0, the wave will get reflected, right? Now if you draw the standing waves for setup 2, this particular shift, either it may shift to left or it may shift to right. If it shift to left, then we say that impedance, this particular impedance is inductive. If it is shifting to right, this particular impedance is capacitive. Now using this recording data and using Smith chart, you can find the impedance of a particular load, right? You can whatever the impedance that we want to measure. Now using this data recording and a Smith chart, you can find the impedance, right? Now this is about the measurement of impedance using slotted line, right? Now coming to third method. Now let us go for third method. Now that is using reflectometer, right? The third method, measurement of impedance using reflectometer. Now this is the structure. Now first let us see the structure. This is the measurement of impedance using reflectometer. Now first let us go for its structure. Now the microwave source, right? Now microwave source, it will generate a signal. Now that signal, the power is represented by PA. PA is nothing but your incident power, right? Now this is given to isolator. Now what isolator will do, it will allow the signal in forward direction and it will block the signal in reverse direction, right? Now this is given to forward directional coupler, right? You know the property of directional coupler, right? Directional coupler, and it has a coupling of 20 dB, and this is given to forward detector, right? And that is given to reflectometer, through which you can measure reflection coefficient, right? Right? Through which you can measure reflection coefficient. And next is that is given to, and this is your reverse directional coupler, right? And that is given to load ZL, right? That is given to load ZL. Right? Now this is the structure of measurement of impedance using reflectometer, right? Now first let me briefly explain. Now microwave source you have, right? And that is generating a power PA. Now this is given to isolator, right? And this is given to forward directional coupler. Now let us see about the directional coupler. Now this is your directional coupler containing 4 ports, right? Port 1, port 2, port 3 and port 4, right? Forward directional coupler is given to reverse directional coupler, and that is given to load, right? That is given to load, right? Now let us see its property. Now it is given coupling of 20 dB, right? Now we have to find out the output of forward directional coupler, and this is also given coupling of 20 dB, right? Now here you'll have port 1, port 2, port 3 and port 4, right? Here you'll have port 1, port 2, port 3 and port 4. Now input you are giving from port 1, right? Input you are giving from port 1. Now where you'll get output? Output is collected at port 2 and also at port 4, but through port 3 you won't get any output, right? Now coupling is given as 20 dB, right? Now what is power at port 1? PI, right? Power at port 1 is PI, right? Now what is coupling formula? C equals to 10 log to the base 10 PI by PF in dB. C equals to 10 log to the base 10 PI by PF in dB. Now coupling value is 20. Now 20 equals to 10 log to the base 10 PI by PF, right? In dB, right? Now 0 0 will get cancelled, right? Now PI by PF is nothing but 10 power 2. Now this indicates PF equals to PI by 100, right? Now what is PF, forward coupled power? Nothing but power at port 4. Power at port 4, now that is given by PI by 100, right? Now this particular port 2 is connected to reverse directional coupler. This particular port 2 is connected to reverse directional coupler. Now let us see reverse directional coupler. Port 2, port 1 and port 4, port 3. Now this is the structure of reverse directional coupler. This is the structure of reverse directional coupler. Now the output of forward directional coupler is given as input to second port of reverse directional coupler, right? Port 2, port 1, right? Port 2, port 1, port 4 and port 3, right? Now here input is given from port 2, where you will get output port 1 and port 3, right? Where you will get output port 1 and port 3, right? Now the power at port 2 is nothing but PR, reflected power. Power that is at your port 2 is nothing but your PR. Now coupling is given 20 dB, that is 10 log to the base 10 PR by what is power at port 3? PB, reverse directional coupler, right? Reverse directional coupler, that's why you will get, if it is forward directional coupler, PI by PF, since it is reverse directional coupler, PR by PB, right? Now here also you will get PB equals to PR by 100. PB equals to PR. If you solve this, same thing, PB equals to PR by 100, you will get it, right? Now this is the output of your forward directional coupler and reverse directional coupler, right? Now PI by 100 is output of forward directional coupler and PR by 100 is the output of reverse directional coupler, right? Now let me explain this. Now microwave source generate a signal PI, right? Now what isolator will do, it will allow the signal in forward direction and it will block the signal in reverse direction, right? Now this is port 1 of forward directional coupler, port 2 of forward directional coupler, port 3 of port 3, and this is your port 4. Okay, port 3 and port 4, right? Now this is your normal directional coupler, right? Now PI is getting incident at port 1, right? Now where you will get output port 2 and port 4, right? Now port 2 and port 4, now it is given a coupling of 20 dB, right? Now what is the output at port 4? PF, right? Now if you solve the formula, right, C equals to 10 log to the base 10 PI by PF, output at port 4 you are getting PI by 100, right? You won't get any output at port 3. This is nothing but your output at port 4, that is PF equals to PI by 100. PF equals to PI by 100. Now this is the output of forward directional coupler. This is your port 4, right? Now this second port input is given to reverse directional coupler. Reverse directional coupler means just reverse its direction. Now port 2 will become port 1 and port 1 will become port 2, and similarly port 3 will become port 4 and port 4 will become port 3, right? Now here you will get port 2, port 1 and port 4 and port 2, right? Now if you again solve the coupling, and it has a coupling of 20 dB. Now this is your port 3, right? Now this is your port 3, right? Now what is output at port 3? PB, right? Now PB you are getting it as PR by 100, right? Using the coupling formula, right? Using the coupling formula we have derived it. Now PB you are getting it as PR by 100, right? Now this is your port 3 of reverse directional coupler and port 4 of forward directional coupler. Now again this port 1 power is given to load, right? Now the ZL is not equals to Z0. What happens? It will get reflections, right? Now this is the output of forward directional coupler, PI by 100, and this is the output of reverse directional coupler. We got these values using coupling formula, that is 10 log to the base 10 PI by PF for forward directional coupler, 10 log to the base 10 PR by PB for reverse directional coupler, right? Now this is the output. Now forward detector in order to detect the signal, and this is also same. Now what is final reflectometer? And rho you will get it as reflected power by incident power, right? Now finally rho you are getting it as what is reflected power? PR by 100, PI by 100, right? Now this by 100 you are getting because of coupling of 20 dB, right? Because of coupling of 20 dB, and this forward and reverse directional coupler are identical, both are identical. Now finally you will get rho equals to PR by reflected power by incident power, right? Now we are getting from reflectometer rho is nothing but PR by PI, right? Now if we know rho from your reflectometer, S you can calculate using the formula 1 plus rho by 1 minus rho, right? And here we have to calculate this ZL, right? ZL we have to calculate using L, rho, right? Now we know rho value, right? Now we know rho value, and wave impedance will be given, right? Wave impedance or the characteristic impedance, ZL minus Z0 by ZL plus Z0, where ZL is the unknown impedance that we want to calculate using rho value. We will get rho value, right? We will get rho value from reflectometer, that is under root of reflected power by incident power, under root of reflected power by incident power. We will get this from reflectometer, and wave impedance will be, or the characteristic impedance or the wave impedance will be given, right? Now using this formula you can calculate impedance, right, using, that is ZL, right? Now this is about the measurement of impedance using reflectometer, right? In the next lecture we will see about network analyzer, different you will have in next lecture we will see.